Joining me now, Liz Smith and Christian Ostermann. Liz Smith is the secretary of the National Cold War Center's Board of Directors. She's also the executive director of the Mississippi County Regional Chamber of Commerce. Christian Ostermann is co-chair of the Cold War Center's advisory board, and he directs the Cold War International History Project at the Wilson Center, which is an affiliate of the Smithsonian Institution. Thank you both for being here. Appreciate you. Christian, I'm going to come to you first and let you explain to everybody what the Wilson Center does, what you do in your full-time capacity here, since some people may not be familiar with that.
Thank you. Thanks very much for having us on. And let me just say up front that we're very excited about this partnership with the National Cold War Center to create a National Museum of the Cold War in Blytheville, Arkansas. The Wilson Center is part of the ideas industry in Washington. We're a think tank, we're a national memorial, and we're an institute for advanced research. And among a number of programs, we have a history and public policy program that tries to bring historical context to public policy issues, and bringing Cold War history context to public policy issues has been a big part of our work. We explore archives around the world for new information on the history of the Cold War and recent international history. And the partnership with the museum will provide an opportunity to inform the creation of this museum with the really state of the art of the field of Cold War history. Let me just say a word about the center as a whole. We're a national memorial created to commemorate Woodrow Wilson, but really to connect, to build a bridge between the world of ideas and the world of public policy. We're fiercely nonpartisan or bipartisan. We're scholarship driven in our work. As I just mentioned, my program provides deep historical research on public policy issues. And we do have, this is one of the things that sets us apart from other think tanks. We actively use history, historical context in our work. And here's where our mission aligns with that of the National Cold War Center. We believe firmly that without knowledge of the Cold War, you really have a hard time understanding our global landscape today. Let me leave it at that.
Yeah. Liz, let's talk about this. The announcement has been that the National Cold War Center and the Wilson Center are going to partner. I want you to tell me a little bit about what that means, but tell me how this came to fruition also.
Actually, Kristen came to Blytheville some years back when we did a sort of highly sophisticated brainstorming to kind of look into the project. We really didn't know what we were going to do at the time. We didn't know how involved it would become, but we were able to recruit him as an expert. We didn't know him and he didn't know us, but he became enchanted with the whole concept, I would say, and started to work with us, and became eventually, when we decided to establish a national advisory board, Kristen became the co-chair of that. So we've been working with him for a little while, and I think our mutual desire to move this project forward called for a direction and expertise that, of course, we needed to bring in. So the memo of understanding, as it is, between the Wilson Center and the Cold War Center kind of evolved from that. This means a tremendous amount to us. I don't really have the words to describe how excited we are about it and how pivotal it is for the project. It will open us up, of course, brings us to a national level, for one thing. And it opens us up to the many relationships that the Wilson Center has all across the country and the world with other Cold War museums, with various institutions, and Christian could speak, of course, much more intelligently to this than I can, but to the various institutions across the nation. I think citing the presidential foundations and presidential libraries is one of the most interesting aspects of it. So all sorts of connections. I think a broader view on educational programming, which is an important component of what we're doing. We're doing that. We're doing some of that even locally for kids, school children, but but we also are going to expand the educational credibility of our organization. We want to have the word gravitas comes to mind. We want to have the gravitas here in Blytheville at our National Cold War Center that the Wilson Center can bring to us. So it brings us so much. Their whole infrastructure is available to us, and their parent company is the Smithsonian. So we get a little link to the name Smithsonian, and I don't have to tell you how important that can be for us.
Yes.
Robbie, may I jump in?
I wanted to ask you what your involvement will be. I want to hear your take on this. Yes.
Compliment some of the things that Liz just mentioned. I must say I've been absolutely inspired by this community effort in Blytheville. This is really a community effort that looks at economic empowerment, but also I think is a really important task regionally, statewide, and nationally. And in fact, we hope internationally. We hope to attract international audiences to this museum of the Cold War. So the inspiration has been mutual, and it's been a terrific couple of years leading this effort through the National Advisory Board that I co-chair, an advisory board that has formidable names on it, formidable expertise. Former Governor Asa Hutchinson is on here, General Wesley Clark. We have Jonna Mendez, who was the equivalent of Q at CIA for many years, along with several other scholars and individuals who bring various expertise and connections to the Cold War Center. So we're thrilled by this partnership. I've spent the last 2-3 decades studying the Cold War and leading an international research effort to rewrite, research, reassess Cold War history. And this museum in Blytheville will give us a chance at the Wilson Center to see this research inform really what we hope will be a premier museum on this subject. And it is a museum that has received a federal designation by the U.S. Congress, one of only 15, I think, Liz, nationwide to have that recognition. And so we're building on this, as I said, hoping to really create a state-of-the-art national museum of the Cold War.
Liz, final question for you. What's next for the National Cold War Center? I know you still have some fundraising goals out there. I know we're still hoping for kind of a date that we might be able to start seeing more activity besides just the annual, hey, come check out what we've got. Give us a little bit of a snapshot of what to expect.
Well, of course, you hit on a hot spot there with fundraising. I think that we have raised a good deal of money. We have made a lot of progress as we've gone along, but we certainly have a lot more to raise. This is a $46 million project, and we are going to be hitting, I think, in 2025, I think you can anticipate that we'll be on a pretty aggressive capital fund campaign. So that is next. But at the same time, we're developing a lot of other programming. We have a webinar series that we got started in 2024, and we're planning on allowing that to flourish a little bit more, developing it in 2025. That brought together people and will continue through Kristen's leadership to bring people from all over the world to the table to talk about the Cold War and about Cold War museums and all those things. We also will continue to expand our efforts in our other educational efforts, and we'll just continue, of course, we already have architectural plans and design plans, but I think we'll continue to let those evolve because everything seems to be a little fluid. So we're looking at a 2025 groundbreaking. We hope we can make that. So the current
27.
No, groundbreaking 2025, but 2027 opening date.
Opening, okay.
Yeah, there we go. So that's a pretty aggressive timeline, Roby, as you I'm sure can tell, but we're going to try. We have some very interesting funding sources kind of in line, we think. So we're extremely excited. We think the value of this project to the state of Arkansas, certainly to our community, needless to say, we're in rural Northeast Arkansas. So, and the value to our community will be just indescribable, but we think also to the state and to the nation, this is going to be a very important project. So we couldn't be more excited or more optimistic about how it's going to turn out.